Bryant is one of the greatest players of all time who defined a generation with memorable moments and capped off his illustrious 20-year NBA career with an unbelievable final game versus the Jazz in 2016. The NBA has been in good hands since he left with a number of stars, but even still, it just doesn't feel the same without the Black Mamba. So what if Kobe played forever? We're gonna take him back to the 1960s, where he'll be playing guys like Bill Russell and of course the all-time great Wilt Chamberlain, and he'll continue to play through time as he challenges every single era throughout all of NBA history over the course of 65 seasons until he reaches the modern NBA as we know it in the year 2024. Starting off in 1960, it's only right that Bryant will be joining the Los Angeles Lakers that he spent his entire NBA career playing for. Right away, he was fascinating the fans of basketball. They had never seen anything quite like this. A player capable of scoring from far range with an impeccable pull-up jump shot from outside the paint, an efficient low post game versus any size player, and the finishing ability expected from athletic centers. In just his first season, Kobe was taking the league by storm while showcasing an unprecedented scoring ability with numbers impressive enough to earn his first MVP, and to go along with that, a lot of team success as well. In large part, this was due to a lot of help surrounding Kobe with teammates like Elgin Baylor, who was dominant on both ends, and of course, the logo himself, Jerry West, who was an offensive force. With this impressive trio leading the way, Bryant and the Lakers would have the best record in the league headed into the playoffs. Now, these playoffs weren't anything to marvel over, as the Lakers were by a wide margin the best team in the Western Division. The only team who had enough talent to possibly compete was the St. Louis Hawks, who even still would fall easily under the barrage of shot making coming from Kobe. This would result in a clear-cut trip all the way to the finals, where they faced their one true test in earning a championship. They faced a Celtics dynasty boasting a collective 7 future NBA Hall of Famers and 5 future top 75 players in the NBA history. To call them stacked would literally be an understatement. Bob Cousy was in charge of running their offense and would do a great job at it. Sam Jones was so elite on offense that he was crowned the nickname The Shooter. And of course, to round them off, they had the man who would go down in history as having the most rings and the collective agreement of being one of the greatest centers to ever play. Kobe was in for a real challenge here, but he was all for it. Boston had won the last 2 championships, and Kobe knew that coming into game 1, he'd have to have a strong start to stand a chance of winning. He would be doing just that in game 1 as he was exploding for 38 points, which was a result of his near flawless play versus Sam Jones, and it would result in the Lakers going up 1-0 in the series. And although they'd celebrate this huge first win in the finals, the Celtics weren't out yet, and with a huge response from Bill Russell, they began the series back tied up before heading into Boston, where they were heavily favored to win the 3rd game of the series. And with Boston fans cheering them on, that's exactly what would happen, as the Celtics were now in the lead 2-1. And even though we're only 3 games in, many media outlets were already writing the Lakers off as losing this series. However, in Kobe's eyes, this series wasn't even close to being over in an enemy territory for game 4. He was completely desperate to claw his way back into this game. He continued to maintain the impressive averages he was pushing out during the final series, and then some, because 48 minutes later, the series was tied up yet again, and that trend was continuing over the next 2 games as well, as the teams would trade wins to lock the series up for one final game 7. It's only the first season of the sim, but we already have a game 7 in the finals where Kobe Bryant, I'm sure, is going to perform at a very high level. This is gonna be good. Game 7 was start off in favor of the Celtics early on, but shortly after, Kobe would lock in for the remainder of this match. No matter what defensive coverages or even double teams that Boston was sending his way, it wasn't making any difference in the outcome. In just his rookie year and the start of the simulation, Kobe was already displaying the Mamba mentality, and he was helping push his team to the promised land as they would be victors and receive the championship trophy, along with Kobe Bryant himself being crowned the Finals MVP for his outstanding performance. Unbelievable performance by Kobe in game 7. 42 points on 19 for 21 shooting is outstanding, and this is setting this series that we're going to see a lot of here, because trust me, this is not the last time we're seeing Bill Russell and the Boston Celtics. And that was in large part due to the fact that there was only 9 total teams in the NBA during this period. As you'd imagine, the Lakers would be facing off with the Celtics numerous times during this early era of the NBA. So in order to prevent things from becoming repetitive, we will be summarizing Kobe's accomplishments and battles he'll have throughout this time period. During the regular season, he was continuing to have some very dominant performances that would help his team succeed. During the stretch from 1961 through 1968, he would earn 3 more MVPs to add onto his resume to now own the top player honors on 4 separate occasions. And with the help of his star team teammates, they continued to be making pushes into the playoffs. Like before, the Western Division wasn't much of a hurdle for Bryant to conquer. He was outclassed in the likes of the Kings in several of these matchups, and again, he'd at times face the St. Louis Hawks, who over the years maintained high play, but never had enough to eclipse the great rosters formed in Los Angeles. But there was one big difference during this stretch, with the Warriors moving out to San Francisco. This team was headlined by the incredibly dominant Wilt Chamberlain. This was by a long shot the best player Kobe was facing in the West. Wilt was elite in every single aspect of basketball and was fighting to the T with LA. While a lot of these series would be close, none of them were enough to eliminate the Lakers. This was mostly because of the intensity in which Kobe was playing. During his matches with the Warriors, Bryant was putting his team on his back and carrying them past the only matchup who truly could compete outside of the Celtics, who by no surprise they would be facing the following 7 years. Throughout the 60s, these teams would have some matchups of the ages. The rivalry between the Lakers and Celtics at this point was more prominent than ever compared to the reality of the NBA history that we all know. These would be battles in which heavy hitters like Kobe and Baylor would put up massive numbers in an attempt to outscore the unbelievably deep Celtics roster that has improved even more than the first time we witnessed the matchup. Every year it was expected that these two teams would meet, and every year the series was as close as ever, with physical, gritty play by both teams. The two teams were very closely matched, and over the course of the next 7 finals appearances, Kobe and the Lakers would be winning a total of 4 times. And just like that, the Lakers get their 4th championship here in 7 years. The 1968 Finals MVP though went to Elgin Baylor. Kobe got the other 3, but Elgin got this one with some insane play. But looking at Kobe's playoff stats here for this season, he's killing it, man. He is killing it in this 1960 era. Nobody's really able to stop him. He's like something we've never seen before. And next year, things are going to get a little bit scarier for everyone else, not the Lakers. The Lakers are going to be just fine. That's all because Wilt Chamberlain had been traded to the Lakers in 1969. With no unrestricted free agency in the NBA until 1988, Wilt had forced his way to the Lakers because he was eager to team up with Kobe after losing to him for so many years. Now with Wilt on the team, the Lakers were completely elevated even further than before. Their one weakness the last few years have been a lack of a good starting center, and now they had it. With the new addition to the team, Kobe would have less opportunities with the ball, which would impact his averages slightly and certainly prevent him from earning any MVPs during this time. Instead, the majority of the MVPs during this stretch would go to Kareem on the Bucks, with a couple going to the impressive Willis Reed carrying the Knicks out in New York. But even without any personal accolades during this period, Bryant was still happy because his team had the pleasure of maintaining the best record in the NBA over the course of the next several seasons. They'd go into the playoffs and have absolutely nobody capable of stopping them in the West, and in 1969, they'd face the Celtics one final occasion during this era and end up sweeping them, which would send Bill Russell into retirement and mark the end of the Celtics' reign in the East. Following that season, the next 4 years would also result in a trip to the finals, 3 of which would be against the Bucks and Kareem, who, as I mentioned before, was winning MVPs left and right. Even though Milwaukee did have a respectable duel with Robertson and Abdul-Jabbar, they just didn't have enough to compete versus the super team formed in California. After winning 3 rings versus the Bucks, they'd go on to one more finals where they would face the New York Knicks, and of this stretch with Wilt, the matchup versus the Knicks would be the easiest by a mile, and it seemed like New York didn't even belong here. Kobe completely destroyed the Knicks here in the 1973 finals. I mean, they are a poverty franchise. I didn't expect much, but yo, I mean, this is bad. But it wasn't as bad as the Lakers situation the following year, with Wilt sitting out the entire season before retiring. Now with Wilt out, Baylor retired, and Jerry West old as hell, it was all on the hands of Kobe. Now in a position where he's the only high talent player on his team for the first time, all eyes would be on if he could lead his team. In a league controlled by a couple super teams at the top of the hierarchy, it would be interesting to see what Bryant could do as the lone star for the highly decorated Lakers. And I'll be the first to tell you, Kobe was putting on an absolute show now as the primary option on his team, but the real question was, how far could he carry this team without any extra help? And as he helped the team land the 6th seed, we get a chance to find out in the postseason. However, the playoffs wouldn't be kind to him matched up versus the Bill Walton Trailblazers in the first round. During this time, the first round was a best of 5, and while Kobe would play well, his team wasn't, and after a long fought 5-game series, the Mamba was losing and entering a tough patch of the 70s. And it's a tough patch because this is a look at Kobe Bryant's team going into 1975. He does not have a lot of help. Gail Goodrich is probably his best teammate. Other than that, the Lakers are really kind of lacking. But if there's anyone capable of carrying a team, it's gonna be Kobe Bryant. So we're gonna go ahead, start simulating the season, see if he can still make the playoffs. They're off to a really good start, actually, with Kobe Bryant leading the way. They're really not losing any games. They're doing great. And coming up on the All-Star break, the team's actually still doing pretty good. 5th seed, 24-18. They're not doing bad. Let's take a quick look at Kobe's stats so far. Midway through the season, he's averaging over 29 a game, just about 29, 7.5 assists, almost 5 rebounds. He's doing a lot to carry this team all the way. And at the conclusion of the season, Kobe Bryant gets the MVP. 27 points per game. Those dropped a little bit from halfway through the season. 7.6 assists though, a steal and a half. He's doing real solid. Defensive player of the year goes to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who Kobe will be getting to know very well starting next season. If you guys know NBA history, you know why. So the Lakers did finish with the 4 seed, 47-35. They're gonna be in the playoffs. They're facing this Warriors team who I think is a little bit off in this roster. I don't think they get Robert Parrish for like 2 more years, but nonetheless, we're gonna go ahead and simulate the first game. Goes to the Lakers. They're already up 1-0. They're up 2-0. They might be advancing here in this simulation. They do. And now in the next round, they're playing this Spurs team led by George Gervin, the Iceman, who I think is one of the more underrated scorers in NBA history. And they're actually battling it out all the way to a game 7. So we're going to go ahead and simcast that, see how this ends up turning out. Can the Lakers beat the Spurs, the upset in the second round? Right now, they have the lead, actually. Going into the second half, they have a pretty comfortable lead. The Spurs are fighting back, though. Oh, this one's going to go down to the wire. We might have a finale finish here. We might have a crazy close finish. Let's see. Oh, it's close. It's close. It's all tied up. I think the Lakers are taking the lead at the free throw line. Spurs are up 2. Let's jump in. All right, here it is, game 7. The Lakers are down by 2. They have the ball. It's got to go to Kobe Bryant. Who is he? Oh, he is on the court. I thought he wasn't there. Kobe has on the left side. His chance for a game 7 win here. He throws it down to Abernathy. What are you doing, Kobe? You got to shoot that. They're not going to. They're fouling. The Lakers end up losing. Kobe Bryant, though, in the game 7 did have 35, 4, and 8. He played well. It just wasn't enough to get the job done, but next year the team does get a little bit better. In 1976, the Lakers would land Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which again put this team in elite contention at the center position. He was still in his prime during this time and would create possibly an even better pairing than Kobe and Wilt. The only problem was the depth available outside of the 2 superstars. Just like the year prior, Kobe was dishing out high-scoring games one after another, and this year even saw a large improvement to his assist numbers as he now had Kareem to feed the ball to. This would certainly be an upgrade from the record the year before, and already the Lakers seemingly turned their situation around. No MVP though for Bryant. It goes to Dave Cohen's. I low-key think Kobe got robbed. He was averaging 31, 9, and 5. He didn't get it. Y'all gonna have to let me know down below in the comments. Did he get robbed in 76? On your way, make sure you like the video. But hey, no MVP, at least has a trip to the playoffs. After sweeping the first 2 rounds, they faced the Warriors again in the conference final. This year would clearly have a difference from the year prior. With Kareem now repping the purple and gold, they had a suitable center to match up with Robert Parrish. And while the 2 7-footers were battling for their lives down low, Kobe Bryant was putting on a massive show for the spectators across the country. His conference finals averages were nothing short of amazing, as it was clear that during this series he was the best player on the court, and he and the Lakers would continue their dominance they've been enjoying during this playoff run. Moving forward to the finals, it'd be the Bullets, with their star player being Wes Unseld. Now don't get me wrong, Wes is a great player, but he was rather undersized at only 6'7" to be matching up with the 7'2" Kareem. Of course, this sim is all about Kobe, but this finals wasn't. This was totally on the hands of the big man, and rightfully so. He'd be rewarded the finals MVP for the way he was outclassing Washington's front court, and Kobe was being awarded another championship after defeating the Bullets 4-2 in the series. The following year, they found themselves right back in the playoffs after Kobe had another MVP year, which was continuing in the playoffs as again, they seemingly were unstoppable, taking out team after team for another finals appearance, this time versus the high-flying Dr. J. While this series Kareem still had the advantage versus the Sixers centers, the difference would be Philly was filled out with offensive firepower with a number of players able to score at a high level. A lot of their success would be dependent on Kobe's ability to outscore both Dr. J and George McGinnis. And while Bryant actually would have a very efficient series with high-scoring outbursts, the lack of depth was finally catching up to the Lakers, and Philly's extensive options would overwhelm the Lakers. A great performance here by Kobe Bryant in the finals. 33 points per game on 56% shooting. Wasn't enough to get it done though. They lost 4-2 to the Sixers, and moving into the next season, I'm not sure they're going to get much better. And here in 78, Kobe with yet another MVP. That's 8 of them things. He's completely in control of the 60s and the 70s. Rookie of the year goes to Will Jones. We got 6-man here, Mickey Johnson. Defensive player is Joe Mayweather. I don't know who half of these guys are. And yet again, the Lakers with a very promising season, 56-26. They're ready to get rolling in the playoffs. And they beat the Jazz in round 1, but it looks like the Warriors are actually giving them some problems. Probably in part because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is playing injured. So we're going to go ahead and simulate the rest of this round. Ooh, and the Lakers fall short, man. They don't even make it to the conference finals this year. And again, the following year, 79, Kobe was back in the finals versus the Sixers once more, but down 3-2 in the series, things may have been slipping away late in Game 6. We're here in this Game 6 in the final moments. Kobe Bryant and the Lakers are down by 2. They're losing the series 3-2, so they have to win this game or they're out of the series. Kobe Bryant is in the corner. They need to get the ball in Kobe's hand. It looks like Kobe actually has his dad defending him. Joe Bryant, Kobe over his father to tie the game. Yo, that is a mind fuck scoring on your own dad. The Sixers now have an opportunity to respond. It looks like Kobe's dad got benched after that. They say, yo, you get sunned by your son, you're out of here. Down low, Mix, his lay is good. They take the lead again. The Lakers, I don't know if they have any timeouts or if they're just not choosing to use one. They're down by 2 still. Allen has the ball. It's got to be Kareem or it's got to be Kobe, preferably Kobe. Kobe in the post. They get it down to a world beat free on him. Kobe to drive. Nowhere to go. Kobe to step back, creating space over him. Oh, it's off. Kareem can't get the board. And Bibby's fouled. Kobe just came up short in the clutch. Just like that, the Lakers would be falling again to the deep sixes, and it was clear they need some help to overcome this hurdle. Which brings us to the start of the Bird and Magic era as the Lakers would draft Magic Johnson. But before we enter this new chapter, let's recap all that Kobe was able to accomplish here in the 60s and 70s as he completely dominated the league. And now moving on, Magic may have only been a rookie, but right away he would cause a shift here for the Lakers. With his addition, the pace of the team increased drastically as the Showtime Lakers mantra would become established, and as a result, Bryant was experiencing one of the most efficient seasons of his career so far. The added offensive presence of Magic freed up Kobe to work his magic in the mid-range off of ISOs throughout the whole season, and by this point, it was clear the Lakers were the top team the NBA had to offer. With the exciting play of Kobe and Magic together, they were putting basketball back on the map with countless headlines featuring the two in their electrifying highlights. The aura of this duo continued during the playoffs as they were breezing through these matchups much like they had breezed through the regular season. Their confidence was apparent and nothing was stopping this team. At times, it didn't even appear that the Lakers were competing versus other pro teams, but rather only on the court having fun and barely even trying. And speaking of fun, it was a blast for the fans. They were heading into the finals with a real chance to win it all. We'd witnessed yet another matchup with the Sixers here in the finals. Over the last couple of years, these two franchises have gotten very familiar with one another, but now here in 1980, the Lakers were clear-cut favorites to win this series. Throughout the regular season and the postseason, really no team had the ability to stop Los Angeles, and here in the finals against the Sixers, that was not going to be changing. Kobe was earning another finals MVP nod and starting off the era of the 80s with a bang. And while Kobe and the Lakers would celebrate now, I wonder how many rings could this team actually get, because there was another super team forming out east to challenge LA. Not only was Larry Bird already developing into a star in only his second year, but the Celtics were also adding Kevin McHale to the roster and rounding it out with Robert Parrish, who in the past gave Kobe some issues. Nonetheless, Kobe and the Lakers were getting ready for what they were expecting to be a finals matchup. They refused to get complacent coming off a championship and were hungry to get more. Throughout the 1981 regular season, Kobe was still showcasing his elite basketball abilities and seemed to be on a quest to repeat with this group. They'd finished with, by no surprise, the best record in the West as they headed into the NBA playoffs. In the first round, they faced off with the Rockets, who had Moses Malone giving Kareem issues, but Kobe had more than enough firepower himself to will their way past Houston. The following two rounds would be much the same in the sense that the Lakers were by far the superior team and would steamroll right past their matchups. And by no surprise, the Lakers and Celtics were going to be meeting in the playoffs yet again. But even with this being the most anticipated match of the year, it didn't mean it would instantly be a classic series, because the Lakers were still way too good even after the Celtics added 2 more future Hall of Famers, and in 5 games, Kobe Bryant was winning another championship to add on to his total. But this absolutely will not be the last time that we are seeing Larry Legend, because again, the following 3 seasons, they'd have a match with Boston every single time throughout this stretch. It was like deja vu of the 60s, where it was the Lakers versus Boston annually. It was like Kobe just could not get away from these Celtics teams, and starting off in 1982, the Celtics were on pace to surprise the world. After losing in 81, they came out the gate swinging this time around. Larry was on absolute fire. No matter who the Lakers were sending him, it didn't seem like it was working. Boston was simply playing like they wanted him more, and it would pay off as the cocky Lakers would receive a gut punch as they fell short of a title. Kobe wasn't happy after allowing the competition to get one up on him. In the following years, Kobe would make it his personal mission to be sure not to lose to this team again. It was already expected that he would be the team's top scorer, but in these 2 following finals, it was even more obvious than before. Kobe is going to be putting an end to this so-called rivalry, and in both 1983 and 1984, the Lakers would be defeating the Celtics in 6 games. But after these finals, everything would change. And that's because in this offseason, the NBA is introducing a salary cap. And Kobe's now a free agent. His contract happened to end on the same year that the salary cap is introduced for the first time in the NBA. And the Lakers don't really have money. And as you can see right now, he's an unrestricted free agent, expecting $1.4 million, which the Lakers really don't have. The teams that are interested is the Warriors, Pacers, Mavericks, Blazers, Nets. The Celtics are offering him an abysmal amount of money, trying to build like the craziest super team of all time. I doubt he accepts that offer. It's looking like his interest right now is with the Warriors or the Pacers. So we're gonna see. He may end up on one of these teams next year. Kobe was taking Indiana's offer and would become a Pacer. Indiana had one of the worst records in the entire league the season prior, so this would become a rebuilding project of sorts for Bryant. There was no notable teammates alongside him, and this would resemble the mid-2000 Lakers prior to obtaining Gasol. Even though Kobe was now on the worst team he's ever been a part of, it wasn't slowing down his own personal production, and through his personal success, it would result in some surprising team success as he flipped this team all the way around. By the time the playoffs rolled around, Kobe had maximized chemistry with his unit and was facing the Bulls here in round 1. Washington didn't have any players necessarily labeled as stars, but they were an experienced roster with plenty of solid guys. But Kobe definitely had a chance versus this team after finding himself up 2-1 early in the best-of-5 series. All of a sudden, the momentum in the series began to shift in favor of the Bullets, who were stringing together impressive play after impressive play, and they would tie the series up 2-2 and force a final Game 5. After years of finals trips, this was new for Kobe to have his back to the wall in round 1. And unfortunately, the Bullets were eager to hold the run of an all-time great as they came out in Game 5 firing on all cylinders, and it would be a bloodbath for Indiana as Kobe would lose the pivotal Game 5. And I'm not quite sure it's going to get much better. This is Kobe's team for the foreseeable future. He does get Reggie Miller to join the team in a couple years in the draft, but for now, he does not have a lot of help. Kellogg is at least decent. He had like 20 points per game last season, can shoot a little bit, but everyone else is really not too good. So we're going to go ahead and start simulating the season, see how far Kobe can get here and see if he can make it to Reggie Miller. But his contract ends shortly after they get Reggie, so I don't even know if he's going to stick around with the Pacers to try to grow with Reggie Miller, or if he's going to leave him for another team. It's all going to be up to the 2K sim, but let's see how far he can take the team. And it's not off to a good start. They started off much better last season. They might not even make the playoffs. That insult to injury, Kobe's old teammate Magic Johnson is getting MVP this year. Sixth man of the year, Eddie Johnson. Hakeem Olajuwon gets Defensive Player of the Year in what, his second season, I think this is. John Bagley, most improved and coach of the year, goes to the Sixers. Kobe was still able to get all NBA first team, which means he beat out Michael Jordan for it. So that's pretty good. Let's look at his stats. 24 points per game, a lot lower. They're probably double teaming him a lot this season. 55% from the field is still pretty solid though. And the last thing I want to check is their standing, see if they made the playoffs. It looks like they did. They're below 500, so they're on some like OG Michael Jordan making the playoffs below 500. 7th seed, they're playing Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons. I can't imagine that they're going to do very well versus them. We'll simulate a game. The Pistons are up. They're probably going to go up 2-0. Yeah, I don't think Kobe really stands a chance. He ends up getting swept in round 1. This is not going to be a good stretch. And here in 87, it's really not looking good coming up to the end of the season. 17-48 right now, 11th seed. They're not going to be making the playoffs whatsoever this year. Man, I thought Kobe could at least will them into the playoffs in this 80s era where it's pretty weak matchups. Was he maybe getting carried out here by Magic Johnson, Kareem, and Wilt Chamberlain? It's looking like it. They're definitely missing the playoffs this year. Well, this is definitely part of the problem. Kobe missed almost 20 games, about 26 points per game. His teammates actually did some pretty decent production here. A lot of guys in double-digit scoring. They didn't do terrible. It just wasn't enough to make the playoffs at 87. The one saving grace for the Pacers is in 87. They ended up getting Reggie Miller. I don't know how great he's going to pair with Kobe, but without a doubt, he's his best teammate he's had yet in Indiana. He's a pretty solid player as a rookie. 75 driving layup already, 82 three-point shot. I think that's going to be huge, helping space the floor for Kobe, giving him a little bit more space. He's even a decent defender. 66 perimeter defense, not too bad as a rookie. 6'7". I think we can make the Reggie Miller and Kobe duo work. So let's go ahead and simulate, see if maybe they can get back in the playoffs now that they added Reggie. And I don't really believe it. We don't have the Pacers in the playoffs at all, even after adding Reggie Miller. Turns out they actually just barely missed it. They were the 9th seed. I mean, they missed about 4 games. So I don't know if I can say just barely missed it. They missed it by quite a bit. But we're going to experience another playoffs without Kobe Bryant. And looking at the stats, Reggie really was not a lot of help. I expected him to do a little bit more. 13 points a game. 43% from 3. At least he was hitting some threes, one a game. I mean, it's not a 3-point shooting area. You're not going to see a ton of them during this period. Kobe is still trying to claw his way to carry this team. He's got 1 year left on his contract. So if they don't make any progress next year, I would not be surprised if he ends up leaving. And it ended up being another championship for the Boston Celtics. Larry Bird taking home another finals MVP. We're going to have to go into this next season and see, can Kobe Bryant get back in these playoffs? In 1989, Reggie Miller was starting to improve quickly, which was a huge breath of fresh air. Kobe desperately needed some help offensively to reduce the amount of double teams he was experiencing. With Miller now averaging closer to 19 points per game, Kobe had a drastic upgrade in real estate to work with on the court. This would help lead to a large increase in record for the Pacers, and they'd finally be back in the playoffs where in round 1 they'd face Patrick Ewing and the Knicks. In a few years, this Knicks team will be a formidable force in the East, but for now, now they're more than manageable and lacked enough perimeter defense to stop both Miller and Kobe. As Kobe was overcoming the Knicks, it was a huge relief after years of struggling here in Indiana, but the job wasn't finished, and here in round 2 they were facing Larry Bird once again. And that's exactly where this season would be ending, with Larry Bird being too much for Indiana to keep up with. And now after several seasons with the Pacers, it makes you wonder, how much longer will Kobe settle for early playoff bounces, and can Kobe coexist in the court with Reggie Miller here in Indiana? With Kobe on his contract year, he's entering free agency again, and it makes you wonder, is Kobe gonna stick it out here in Indiana? A rebuilding process. They've been losing for years, but he does now have a potential co-star in Reggie Miller. We all know Kobe is all about winning, so it's going to be interesting to see how this year's free agency plays out. And as we can see, pretty much every team in the league is interested in Kobe. Every single team is sending him some different offers, all varying. The Pacers can't offer the most money, and they gave him a player option. I would not be opposed to him staying in Indiana. It would be a fantastic divisional rival with the Chicago Bulls going into the 90s. You have Scottie and MJ versus Kobe and Reggie Miller. Those two duos clashing out in all of the 90s would be really cool. I would not be opposed either for the Knicks. I think that could be a cool fit for him. The Rockets, I'm sure he'd get back into winning. You got Hakeem Olajuwon, you got Kobe. I'm almost positive they would start winning some games. Even the Hawks could be cool with Dominique Wilkins. But honestly, I would really like to see him stay with the Pacers. So fingers crossed. Let's go ahead and find out who Kobe Bryant is going to sign with. And it looks like Kobe decided to stick it out with the Indiana Pacers for at least the next 3 years, and then he has a player option. So that's going to put us into what, 1993? I think 90, 91, maybe 92, maybe 93 if he goes for a player option. So we have him at least for a little bit of the early Bulls dynasty. Let's see if Kobe Bryant and Reggie Miller have enough. I mean, they don't have a lot of help here on the bench. I'll be quite honest with you. But maybe these two stars can get it done and beat Michael Jordan. But before we look at how the next chapter of the Pacers turns out, let's take a look at Kobe's accolades throughout the Bird and Magic era, where Bryant had tons of success. And moving into 1990, it was already seeming like Kobe made the right choice. Reggie Miller was having a true breakout season and would be making his first All-Star appearance of his career. Now Kobe and Reggie were looking like a legit duo together and would have their best season by far. In the playoffs, Kobe was getting his revenge versus an aged Larry Bird before defeating the Knicks in round 2 for the second year in a row to eventually have his first run-in with the Chicago Bulls. In the first of what will probably be many battles, who will be coming on top this year? This matchup was definitely living up to the hype, as these two all-time greats were both clashing in their prime. Their playstyle was very similar, and with them attacking and defending each other every possession, all the fans were on the edge of their seat, eager to see how this one would play out. And unfortunately, the way the first game would play out was not how Kobe expected, because even though Kobe would slightly edge out MJ in scoring, Jordan was taking home game 1 in front of his home fans. But that was the last time Jordan was going to taste victory this season, because Bryant kicked things up to another gear after the loss and followed that loss with win after win after win against MJ. In our reality, Kobe struck comparisons to Jordan, but in this reality, he seemed to be the superior, at least by this point. The conference finals ended up being a gentleman's sweep, and Jordan's hope of his first championship would be ending here. And for his first finals since leaving the Lakers so many years ago, they're up against the Utah Jazz. The Jazz do have some fantastic pieces like John Stockton. They got some decent bench players, Edwards, Bailey, Malone. And then, of course, they're headlined by the Predator. So I'm just absolutely praying Kobe Bryant does not let this man get a championship. And we've witnessed Kobe's elite scoring for years now, but in this finals, it would be his defense that would shine. This finals was very defensive oriented, with two of the best defensive teams in basketball, and with Kobe effectively halting Stockton's production, it would all fall on Karl Malone. And you'd think Chris Hansen was on the court the way Rick Smits was locking this Predator up, which made all the difference in the series. With the Jazz's two main stars limited, this was an easy series for the Pacers, and just 1 year after being bounced early, Kobe was already winning a championship after displaying his loyalty to Indiana. And what a big closeout game for Kobe Bryant here. 35 points, 10 for 13 shooting. This man meant business. Reggie Miller did his part too. 27 points on 11 for 17. Not bad either. They're able to beat the Jazz. I'm sure next year they're going to run into Michael Jordan again. Let's just face it. Let's just go ahead and jump straight to that series. And just as I predicted, Kobe was facing Mike for the second year in a row. But if I had to predict, I think this series would be a lot closer this time. Kobe and Jordan are possibly the two most competitive players ever, and I assumed Jordan would retaliate from last year's defeat. But to my amaze, I was completely wrong, because Kobe was yet again outclassing the Bulls in only 5 games for another trip to the finals, which would afford Kobe Bryant the chance to take out his old team. Could Bryant get things done here and begin his dynasty with Indiana, or would Magic and the Lakers halt his dreams? We'd have to wait to see, but one thing that was for sure was was the paint was not as well protected as the early 80s. This Lakers team was a shell of its former selves and no longer had Kareem at center, but they still had Magic, who was still trying to squeeze in one more championship. While Johnson was actually able to get LA 2 wins, it wasn't enough to outlast Kobe in this series, who was now repeating and starting what may soon be the next big dynasty in NBA history, while Kobe would pay tribute to the court and the team that he called home for so very long. And it really was looking to be a dynasty in the making, as the next year, yet again, Kobe was triumphing past the Bulls, and it left me questioning if Jordan really only won so many rings because of the level of competition. Because with Kobe in the league, Mike hasn't had any success whatsoever, and Kobe being Kobe was starting to talk a lot of trash. Bryant would go on to defeat the Jazz in the finals again that year, before another playoff run in 1993 that didn't even feature Jordan, as he was upset in the first round by Charlotte, which would send him into retirement. And with no Michael Jordan in the 93 playoffs, the Pacers walk straight to finals, where they're going to be facing the Portland Trail Blazers for a chance for, what is this, I think 4 championships in a row now. This is the first time since Kobe's joined the Indiana Pacers that they've had the #1 seed, and it's kind of surprising because if we go over to Kobe Bryant's stats, I was looking at these and he only averaged 19.8 a game. I think that's the lowest of this entire simulation since 1960, but I guess things are just working out for his team. You got a lot of guys averaging some good numbers. They're playing great as a team. What is this, 6 guys in double figures, almost an extra one with McKee with 9.7. I think they got a good chance here versus Portland. Of course, they have Clyde Drexler, but outside of Clyde, they don't have much. And I imagine, yeah, Indiana's mopping these dudes. Hey, maybe Portland could come back a little bit, 3-1. I think this one is pretty much over. Let's go ahead and simulate this last game. Indiana's going to win yet another championship, and it's going to be going to Kobe Bryant for Finals MVP by no surprise. But Kobe is a free agent again. He accepted that player option. That's how we got here. But he's no longer under contract, so we have yet another year of free agency. And free agency was as simple as that. He's back on the Pacers 4 more years, which is going to push us out to 1997. So the 2 years without Mike, and then 2 years after Mike gets back. In the first year without Jordan in the league, this would be as easy as a path to the NBA Finals as ever. The first round was a quick pit stop with the Hornets to go into the second round, where they'd run into a mid-tier Cavs team in a series that wouldn't last very long, until they'd actually play the Bulls again, but this time without Jordan and only Pippen. Chicago couldn't defeat Kobe even with one of the greatest players ever, so now that he was no longer on the team, this would be an easy matchup for the Pacers to make a push to the finals, where they'd face Phoenix. And the only problem in these finals was that Reggie Miller was out for the season with an injury. Now with the MVP Charles Barkley leading the way for Phoenix, this would be Kobe's biggest challenge yet. The Black Mamba had a chance to win a championship as the sole All-Star and was confident that he could. However, things weren't starting off well for him, as things started off in Phoenix's home court, and with Barkley averaging nearly a triple-double for the season, his production was difficult to keep up with as the Suns were off to an early 2-0 lead. Things may have been looking down for the Pacers, but we know what Kobe is capable of with his back to the wall, and for the millionth time, he was showing it. The past few years, the team's scoring was more spread out, with Kobe averaging lower numbers, but when he needed to step up the most, he was ready to do so and was fighting for his team to get back into the series, and quickly went up 3-2, but Game 6 was close late, and Phoenix was trying to force a Game 7. Game 6 is coming down to the wire. The Pacers do have the 2-point lead, but Phoenix has possession of the ball still with 43 seconds remaining in this game. They have time to tie this thing up or take the lead. Sabalos with a little spin, and that's great defense. He goes out of bounds, and now Indiana has a chance to take the lead. Coach is not happy at all. The Pacers with it now. They inbounded it to Fleming. Keep in mind, Reggie Miller is currently hurt. He is not in the game. Kobe Bryant is here, though. Kobe's not touching it. Rick Smith, he's been a huge piece. Sets the screen. Kobe down low in the post. Kobe, the little hop, the pull-up jumper. It's off. Kobe misses. Charles Barkley around mound, rebound, gets the rebound. And now this guy has the ball. I don't even know who that is. Follows with it now. Number 30 at the top. 16 seconds left. 2 seconds to separate his shot clock and game clock. He's driving to the paint. Sabalos to pull up. Oh, his is off. Almost exact same as Kobe's, and Smith's is headed to the line. Rick Smith's first free throw, he makes it. If he makes the second one, that could be the dagger that does it. Free throw number 2, it's good. It's good. The Pacers have a 4-point lead. Phoenix takes a timeout. I'd be shocked if the Suns end up pulling this one off. This is not a 3-point shooting league at this moment, so hitting 2 threes in a situation like this is unlikely. So they're probably going to go for the quick 2 and the steal. Charles Barkley in the corner. He pumps. He does shoot the 3. Barkley, bang! Barkley gets it in. As I'm just saying, they can't shoot 3s. And now the Indiana Pacers have to get inbound. They're looking for an inbounder. They get it to Fleming. He gets fouled, sent to the line. Oh my God. Fleming just misses the first free throw. This is going to be a photo finish. Fleming, you got to hit the second free throw. He makes the second one. It's a 2-point lead now. It doesn't look like Phoenix has any timeouts, or they're not using it. 8 seconds left. They have to go quick. Ainge with the ball. It's not going to be Charles Barkley. You can live with this. You can live with this. Follows for 3 in the win. Oh, it's off. It's off. And the Pacers are NBA champions yet again. It does not seem like any team in the entire league can beat this Pacers team, headlined by Kobe Bryant and Reggie Miller. But this time, no Reggie Miller. It's all Kobe Bryant winning this ring for his team. And going into the next season, our Pacers, again, one of the best teams in the East by no surprise. Kobe was hurt for like the first month and a half of the season, so they did lose some games there. But even still, he came back, was averaging about what he's been averaging the last several years here with Indiana. 21 points a game. His numbers are way down from the early parts of his career, but they're winning. So I don't think he can really be mad. His assist numbers are still pretty high. He's doing well. He's getting rings. I don't think he cares too much about the personal number. In the playoffs, so they do have Shaq in round 1, which I'm slightly concerned about because they're 6 seed. I feel like they should be high. This may give us issues. I mean, Rick Smits is a dog down low. Shaq does end up getting 1 win. Yo, it's going to a game 5. We're gonna have to simulate this game 5. The Pacers could get dropped in round 1. I'd actually be shocked. They're blowing them out though. Kobe was not about to lose this game 5. We're gonna have to see how many points he scored. I got a feeling this man went up for like 40-50 points. He's dominating the Magic as they advance. 32 points for Kobe, 13 for 18. He was not playing around. They got the Bullets in round 2, who are a higher seed. Let's see if they can put up a fight here. The Pacers are smoking them. Charlotte, I feel like the Pacers are gonna blow them out as well. Or they might just lose in 7 games, man. Let me look at this game 7. I'm actually, wow. The game 7 was super close as well. The Hornets ended up winning by 2. I would have loved to simcast that and watch those final moments. I was just so confident that the Pacers were going to win in about 4 or 5. I was barely even paying attention to the sim. It got to 7 before I knew it. It was over. And wow, they ended up losing in 1995. I thought this was going to be just Pacers every year of the 90s winning a championship, but I guess not. Let's see if the Hornets have what it takes to beat the Houston Rockets. I was really looking forward to that too. I wanted to see Kobe versus the Rockets. I wanted to see Rick Smits and Hakeem. I wanted to see that matchup. Let's see. The Rockets beat the Hornets, man. I'm still at a loss for words. Clyde Drexler, finals MVP for those guys. Even though he just got done winning 5 rings, this loss was unacceptable for Bryant. The next offseason, he would train relentlessly to get back to the top of the basketball realm, but there was a familiar hurdle in his way again. In the first round of the playoffs, Kobe found himself with a chance for revenge. He trained all offseason to ensure he wouldn't lose to a team like the Hornets ever again. Falling short like that a year ago devastated him and was a massive hit to his ego. It was unclear how they lost, whether it was overconfidence coming off of 5 rings in a row, or if the Hornets simply played better. But regardless what it was, the way Kobe was playing this year, there was no doubt that this year was going to be different. The first game in the series would end with a massive blow, and most fans were already anticipating the next matchup versus the Bulls in round 2. But for Charlotte, they wouldn't stand for the disrespect as if the series was already over. The athletic Larry Johnson leading the way, Charlotte was actually doing the unthinkable. They were winning game 2 and then even going on to the road to win game 3 and take the lead in the series. Not a soul on this planet considered the possibility of the Pacers losing game 4 in Indiana. Well, not a soul other than the Hornets franchise. You literally cannot make this up, man. 3-1. They lose to the Hornets again. This one wasn't even close. The Charlotte Hornets just have the number, man. I thought it was going to be Jordan that maybe stopped them with Dennis Rodman now, but no, it's the Hornets again. Following 2 losses in a row short of the finals, the 1997 season was going to be crucial for Kobe, who was on a contract year with free agency pending. When asked though, Kobe says he's only focused on the season and not his contract. The way he was playing all season supported his claim, and eventually they'd work into the playoffs again. And then it seems tragedy has struck because Miller is hurt again. I'm not old enough to have ever seen this man play or know too much about Reggie Miller, but I've never heard of him getting hurt that often. He's missed like 2 seasons now. It's getting bad. It's gonna be all Kobe, and he's playing against Shaq, a young prime Shaq and Penny Hardaway. I can't imagine this is going to end well. With Reggie out, Shaq was like a shark in the water, aggressively attacking the wounded Pacers. Even with the taller Rick Smits guarding him, it would make no difference. While Kobe would keep this game relatively competitive, ultimately it wasn't enough with Magic taking the series in 5. And just like that, the Orlando Magic beat the Pacers. I think there's 2 years in a row with a first-round exit. I'm sure Kobe's not going to stand for that. We're going to simulate the rest of these playoffs here. I imagine Jordan and the Bulls, of course, they're going to go ahead and beat the Utah Jazz. Scottie Pippen with the finals MVP, Kareem and Jordan. No surprise there. I'm not sure if Kobe would have even been able to beat them if they had got past the Orlando Magic. It would have been fun to see. We didn't really get to see Kobe versus the post-first retirement MJ. We didn't get to see much of it. We saw a lot of it before the baseball retirement, but not a lot after. Taking a look here at his playoff stats, he averaged almost 26 points per game, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. He really did his part. I mean, I don't blame him for not being able to overcome Shaquille O'Neal and the Magic. That's a tough team to beat all by himself. But you have to wonder, with his contract year up, enter free agency again, is he sticking out with Indiana, or is he going to finally move on to another team? He's been with Indiana for over a decade now. It'll be interesting to see with 3 losing seasons in a row. And again, by no surprise, a lot of teams, pretty much every team around the league, is offering Kobe a contract. Me personally, I honestly would love to see him stay and stick it out with Indiana. They have a bright future here in the early 2000s with Ron Artest and those really gritty kind of guys over there. So I'd love to see him stay with them. The teams he's most interested in, the Celtics, Bullets, Lakers, Spurs, I guess any of them are okay, except really the Bulls. That would be miserable to see. Even the Knicks would be a lot of fun, even though it's a 1-year deal. The Lakers, I thought that would be kind of boring. We already know what happens on the Lakers. Next year is where he would be a rookie with Shaq. I'd rather not the Lakers. But let's go ahead and see who ends up joining here in the offseason. And of all the teams he could have chose, he ended up getting a contract offer from the Los Angeles Clippers. And as you can see by their team, they do not have a lot going for him. And this is probably the worst time this could have happened, because in the West, they're about to get very stacked with Tim Duncan. They're about to get Shaq. Kevin Garnett is out here. Dark's going to be out here. Steve Nash. They're getting very, very stacked. And I don't think we're going to see another Kobe versus MJ matchup, which I was really looking forward to. The post-retirement matchups. And this is just, I'm already knowing, this is going to be a really, really rough patch in Kobe Bryant's career. But first, let's take a look at Kobe's stats during Jordan's era before we embark on what I anticipate being the absolute worst stretch of Bryant's career. Entering this new chapter with the Clippers, it looked like Kobe was still hopeful that he could compete at a high level. He himself was putting up some great numbers, but as you'd expect, the team was struggling. Here in this reality, our MVP is going to be Grant Hill. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Shaq. Sure, it would be nice if Kobe was playing with the Diesel right about now. And that is, of course, because the Clippers are absolutely struggling to do anything here in the NBA. I mean, honestly, they're doing better than I expect. 34 wins is a lot. Kobe is dragging them completely. I mean, if you look at this roster right now, it's not good. It's really, really bad, and it's gonna be bad for several years. In this sim, the Miami Heat actually end up winning here in 98 instead of Chicago. I guess they were able to outlast the Bulls, who had the 4th seed. And then again the year after, another All-NBA first team appearance, as you would expect. Even more dominant play here from Kobe, 29 points per game. No one else is even able to get to double digits. The second leading scorer, I'm pretty sure, is a 2K generated guy. I mean, this Clippers team is astronomically bad, and they're not getting any better for a while. So we're probably gonna jump forward a few years and do a quick recap of what's happened. And bam, it's been like an hour for me simulating to 2005, but just a split second for you guys. And he actually has a decent team now. He hasn't had any success over the last few years. Tons of personal accolades, first team All-NBA, All-Stars, high scoring outbursts, but no team success. He is bald now. After the stress of playing for this Clippers team, as you can imagine, all the hair follicles are gone. But he has some decent teammates. Finally, decent. I'm not gonna say good, but decent teammates. I think in real life, this team 37-45 according to my data right here. So not terrible this season. Maybe he can push them over the edge. I don't think they're gonna get far in the playoffs, but I think he can finally make the playoffs. They got Elton Brand, pretty decent big man there, and Chris Kaman, another okay big man, serviceable. He's at least worth giving some playing time to. So let's go ahead. We're about to start simulating and see just how far this Clippers team can go. And here at the end of the season, MVP goes to Dwayne Wade. I don't think he ever got one in real life, if I'm not mistaken. So that's pretty cool. I'm a huge fan of Dwayne Wade. Rookie of the Year, Brandon Hunter. I think the Rookie of the Year is messed up on the season I'm using. Sixth Man of the Year goes to Luol Deng. Pretty cool as a Bulls fan. And Defensive Player of the Year, I believe this is Dwight's rookie year. So that's really solid for a rookie. Defensive Player of the Year. He's also some Victor Wembanyama type stuff right there. And Most Improved, Earl Boykins. Never heard of her. Now that we're in 2005, here's a look at our All-NBA first team. We're pretty much in the NBA history as we know it right now. Unless Kobe's able to make a difference on the Clippers, this is all going to pan out in the reality that we know. Unless Kobe's able to get in the playoffs, disrupt some stuff, knock some people out of the playoffs, we're going to have to wait to see. And all this talk about the playoffs is because he actually did end up making it. He is the 6th seed going in here. I'm not expecting a lot. Let's look at his points per game here in 2005. 30.6 points per game. He's dominating, even though Elton Brand is now averaging 18.5. Finally, some decent help. 18.5 and 12. That's a very solid stat line for Elton Brand every single night. Let's see if they can make some progress here versus the Timberwolves. I still got a feeling Garnett's going to win, but Kobe's actually sweeping Garnett in an upset. The Seattle Supersonics are the second seed, which I don't know how that's possible. Oh, man. I got a little excited because I thought they were going to be the Supersonics. I thought Kobe was going to be back in the conference finals in 05, but not quite, man. But that's still impressive. 2005 on this terrible Clippers team, Kobe Bryant to make a run this deep. I think that's pretty impressive, actually. Maybe we can start seeing them winning some seasons, maybe try to get a championship here with the Clippers. And come 2006, it was looking like we just might. Kobe was beginning to trust his teammates more here with the Clippers, and their chemistry was at an all-time high. It seemed like Bryant was determined to make another noteworthy push. It's been over 10 years now since he last won a championship with Indiana, and hasn't even come close since joining the Clippers. But this year would have to differ. His averages were through the roof, and it was enough to earn an MVP, which he hasn't seen in quite some time now, but the real prize was the ring. Luckily, the MVP level of play helped elevate his team to a respectable record as they go into the postseason during an era with an incredibly stacked Western Conference. Kicking things off, the Clippers were in a battle with Dirk, who in our reality would go on to the finals this very year. Dirk was a fierce competitor with his best roster yet. It was now or never for the German native to go the distance, so stopping him here was going to be a difficult task. But if there was anyone in the league that was up for the challenge, it would be Kobe himself, who had been preparing for this with his relentless training all season long. This series would be a back and forth matchup that would go the distance all the way to Game 7. The winner go home finale was a slugfest between Dirk and Kobe, who were going shot for shot with each other throughout the whole game. But only one player can win. Will it be Kobe, who continues his championship hopes, or will it be Dirk Nowitzki trying to live out the canon reality? And the answer would be the Mamba with a massive win to advance to round 2. And that next round was the one that I was actually scared of. Tim Duncan led the way for one of the most impressive dynasties in sports history. It would be a tough matchup. But actually, Kobe Bryant and the Clippers were finding a way to get it done in a series that was less close than it looked. This series did end up going to 7 games, but it was not as close as it looks. The Clippers ended up winning their 4 games pretty easily, and the 3 that the Spurs won were very close, could have went either way. So it's pretty clear that the Clippers were the better team in the series, which is kind of surprising because the Spurs actually won 2 of the 3 championships that Kobe normally would have got with the Lakers in the early 2000s, and the Sixers won that other one. So I'm surprised the Spurs did not do a little bit better. Moving into the Western Conference Finals, it was against the 8-seeded Timberwolves, who were being led by the superstar Kevin Garnett. These matchups were against some of the all-time best power forwards, but the Wolves would have the weakest supporting cast, which made this the easiest run that Kobe's experienced here in this run. The Clippers would be taking this one home and headed to a finals appearance for the first time in forever. And I guess this is Kobe's reward for making it through the gauntlet of playing the top 3 power forwards in NBA history, because he's playing the Knicks. The Miami Heat ended up losing to the Knicks in the conference finals, and this Knicks team is honestly nothing special at all. Stephon Marbury is their best player. I got a feeling that Kobe can beat these guys and actually get a championship with the Clippers, which is mind-boggling to me because that team has not been able to win a single ring in franchise history. So the fact that Kobe Bryant is able to elevate them to that next level, I think that says a lot about the Black Mamba. I was definitely right with how easy this series would be for Kobe, at least in relation to the previous 3 rounds that he endured. In this finals, he was putting up some of the most impressive averages we've seen in the NBA finals, and it was carrying his team all the way because it was more than enough to earn them the ring after a short 5-game series. Kobe was now engraved in the Clippers history, but the following years weren't as fruitful as 2006. Well, here in 2007, Kobe ends up losing in round 1 in 7 games. I think in large part is because Elton Brand was injured, his second best teammate. Kobe was playing with an ankle sprain as well, so he was playing through that. They were up 3-1, but Phoenix ended up coming back. His averages for that series, even through the ankle sprain, were still pretty good. 26.4, 6, and 8. Solid showing from him. 51% from the field. My boy Sammy Cassell was cooking too. 60% from the field, not too bad. Let's go ahead and see who ends up winning the finals this year in this simulation. The Celtics are going all the way, and I think that's before they even get Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. Here in 2008, Kobe falls to Carmelo in the Nuggets. Let's look at his stats for this season's playoffs. He didn't average as good of numbers either. Elton Brand came back and actually outperformed him. He low-key kind of got completely outplayed by Carmelo Anthony. Kevin Garnett ends up getting the finals MVP in a 7-game series versus Melo. Melo was 1 win away from getting a ring in this reality. Here in 2009, the Clippers got to the conference finals versus the Nuggets. Kobe dragged them all the way 1 round from the championship round. But Melo's too much. He's absolutely crushing it in this reality without Kobe Bryant being in his way. He's got to the finals 2 years back to back. And he ends up winning. He ends up winning at just the finals MVP, Carmelo Anthony, 30 points per game in the finals. And in 2010, another conference finals appearance when he loses to OKC. How do you lose to Durant this young? Oh, and what are the Magic doing there? But in 2011, I gotta be honest, they actually have legitimately a very good looking team. They have Kobe Bean Bryant, they got Blake Griffin finally playing, Eric Gordon, Chris Kaman, Baron Davis rounding this thing out, and some decent bench players. DeAndre Jordan, and that's it, DeAndre Jordan. And this year with Blake on the team, Kobe gets another MVP, 31 points per game, almost 9 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals. Kobe went crazy. And they actually did end up with the best record in the entire league as well, but they fall short to the Spurs in the conference finals. Bro, they can't get it done, man. He had one good run, and since then he hasn't been able to make it. They have Blake Griffin now, though, so I think this could be an opportunity for a lot of championship runs here. But unfortunately, that wouldn't be the case, as in free agency, Kobe left the Clippers for the LA team that raised him. At this point, we all know how Kobe and the Lakers played out, so we're gonna fast forward past his retirement from our reality as we enter the final era, starting in 2019 with LeBron James. He was also joined by a few other solid pieces like Brandon Ingram, who showed potential, and Lonzo, who had the best playmaking Kobe has had since Magic. Kobe himself was switched to his Team USA jersey number after the Lakers prematurely retired both 8 and 24, but regardless of what number he was wearing, it wasn't impacting his play. He was just as dominant as his time with the Lakers so many decades ago, with some outstanding stats, but this time around he was joined with a player in the GOAT debate. Pairing Kobe and LeBron together was like a match made in heaven, because Kobe was an aggressive scorer and LeBron was a willing facilitator. This Lakers team was sure to experience a lot of success in these final few years, and it was starting with this season as they headed into the playoffs as the top team. The first round was a bit of a freebie against Anthony Davis and the Pelicans. With the Lakers beating the Pels easily in this round, it could be cause and change the next season, but for now, LA was running into a major challenge in round 2. The Warriors super team was waiting for them in the second round, and it would instantly become an all-time playoff classic that pushed to a tight Game 7. We are at the end of a Game 7 right now with the Warriors up by 3. Steph Curry has Kobe Bryant guarding him. Steph wants Kobe one-on-one. Steph trying to go to the paint, nowhere to go. Kobe is not letting him move. Look at the defense on Kobe. Throws it down to Burks. That layup is off. Caldwell Pope with the board. No LeBron James on the court. Kobe Bryant has it now down by 3 in Game 7. Kobe to mid-range. Curry guarding Kobe. This is a mistake if you ask me. Kobe sizing him up to pull up. Oh my God, how does Kobe miss? 21 seconds, they're playing the foul game. Steph was definitely not the guy to foul. I feel like you could have played defense. You had enough time. Down by 5 now. 27 seconds left. Let's see what the Lakers can cook up. Kobe Bryant with the ball. You got to go quick. LeBron James is checked back in. Kobe driving it. He runs into a crowded area. Kobe bringing it back out. 17 seconds left. Time is ticking. You don't have a lot of time, man. You have to go quick here. JaVale McGee setting the screen. Kobe double pump in the face of Durant. Oh, that wasn't even Durant, but it's off anyway. It's off anyway. The Warriors are going to be winning. And with Kobe shocked following the loss, change would need to happen the next season. That change was coming in the form of Anthony Davis joining the roster after a big trade. This pairing alongside Bryant created not only the best defensive two-man game, but also one of the best offensive. The Lakers in our reality were going to win a championship, so by no surprise, after adding Kobe to the roster, this team will be flying by every opponent all the way to the finals versus the Hawks. This was just another easy series and a playoff run of utter excellence, and Kobe would advance past the Hawks en route to another ring and another finals MVP. And to be honest with you, I really don't think that there's any team that's going to really beat this Lakers team throughout this stretch here. When you're playing Kobe, Anthony Davis, and LeBron all over 30 minutes, if they stay healthy, I'm pretty sure they're going to win every season up until 2024. And yeah, pretty much as I expected, 68-14, even with the team dealing with some injuries. And these are the type of numbers Kobe Bryant's putting up here in post-retirement from our reality there in 2016. He's killing these dudes, almost 60% from the field. No one in the entire league here in the 2020s seems to be able to slow down Kobe Bryant. They're going to be making it to the finals. They only lost one game en route here. They lost one to the Warriors. They beat the Grizzlies and the Clippers in sweeps. And it's against the Celtics. The Celtics, again, the storied franchise. We have seen this matchup probably a million times by now in this sim. Let's go ahead and simulate this round, see who ends up winning. I'm pretty sure the Lakers. It was actually surprisingly kind of close. That thing went to 7. LeBron James ends up taking home the finals MVP. It is not going to Kobe Bryant. That was actually kind of scary. I kind of wish you would have watched it. The Game 7 was born anyway. The Lakers blew them out. Kobe with 29 in the Game 7. Kyle Kuzma with a masterclass performance here in Game 7 to save the day. LeBron with 19 assists. Kobe's averages here in the playoffs. LeBron James actually averaged more points per game, rebounds, and assists. So I guess it's still kind of LeBron's team, even though they're supposed to be co-stars here. Anthony Davis looks hurt. That's why the Celtics were able to keep it competitive. And in 2022, we even have Russell Westbrook joining the team. It'll be interesting to see how these 4 ball-dominant players all coexist on the court. As we know, Russell Westbrook in real life this year kind of ruined the Lakers season, and then they shipped him out the following season. So it'll be interesting to see, can Kobe Bryant somehow come in here and make this thing work? And it looks like this season, with Kobe being here, Joel Embiid ends up getting an MVP a year earlier. We have 6th man of the year, Norman Powell. Defensive player of the year goes to Rudy Gobert, and most improved Trey Mann. So it doesn't look like Kobe's presence here has mixed things up too much. Surprisingly though, Kobe drops all the way to the all-NBA 3rd team. I don't know how there were that many players better than him to be in front of him on the 1st and the 2nd team, but that's what happens. You look at his stats, and I guess it makes sense. 3rd team, he's down all the way to 23 points per game, sharing that ball with LeBron James, even adding Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook in the mix. He is definitely getting a lot less touches, still shooting very efficient, 58%. I mean, that is insane. That is actually insane efficiency for a guard. He's almost 50-49. He just barely missed a 90% free throw. 41% from the 3-point line though. He's fitting in very well with his 3-point centric league. I wasn't sure how he would. He's always been an okay 3-point shooter, but nothing super special from behind the arc. But it looks like he's adapting very, very well into the new NBA style with shooting the threes over and over again. And the standards are showing it too, as they're the top record here in the Western Conference, and the top record in the entire NBA, just barely eclipsing the 76ers, who I feel like maybe they're probably going to end up meeting in the finals. And it's actually going to be the Atlanta Hawks who beat the Sixers in the conference finals. Lakers got here very easy. Kobe got the Western Conference Finals MVP. Let's go ahead and start simulating through these games of the finals. I'm pretty sure, again, like I said, it's really not even fair at this point. This Lakers team is far too stacked for the modern NBA. I'm surprised the Hawks even won one, and the Lakers end up winning 4-1. Kobe Bryant gets another finals MVP here with 25 points per game. Not too crazy for what Kobe's capable of, but again, with all the hands in the kitchen there, that's pretty impressive for Kobe. We have 2 seasons left going into 2023. He's gonna have to get past Nikola Jokic, who's on an absolute mission to win another championship. And again, in 2023, we have some changes. Like I mentioned, no longer have Westbrook. They shipped him out. They got D'Angelo Russell. They have Reeves, who is starting to rise up in this association here. I would not be surprised if maybe Kobe Bryant slides to the 3. They play LeBron at the 4, Anthony Davis at the 5. I can see it happening, man. That would be one hell of a starting lineup offensively here with these 5. They also have Vanderbilt, which is a fantastic player, Rui Hachimura, Dennis Schroeder. I mean, this team is pretty stacked here at this point. I would not be surprised if they maybe get more than 72 wins this season. And this year we actually have a Kobe Bryant MVP, man. With all these added hands, you would think he wouldn't get enough touches, but the Black Mamba is still finding a way. Almost 29 points a game, 8 rebounds, 7.5 assists, and he actually got a Defensive Player of the Year. In the 64 years this man has played in the simulation, he has yet to get a single Defensive Player of the Year. So that is super exciting to see, with his 2 steals, almost a block a night, finally being rewarded for being an elite defender. And this time around, he did get the All-NBA first team honors. Thank goodness. That 3rd team was kind of disrespectful. His team did finish with the 1st seed again. We're going to simulate here versus the Memphis Grizzlies. He beats Ja. They have the Suns up next, who I think do have Kevin Durant at this point. And then the Denver Nuggets. They have to outlast the Denver Nuggets and Jokic here in the conference finals. This is who they lost this year in real life to. And let's see if they can beat him now. The only difference is they added Kobe Bryant. Is that enough to get the job done? Nikola cannot beat Kobe. LeBron James does get the Western Conference Finals MVP though, and the Hawks again. Yo, I don't know what it is. 2K loves the Atlanta Hawks. They always end up in these finals in these sims when I do like the early 2020s, and the Lakers just blowing these dudes straight out the water. They couldn't even get a win this year. LA wins it again. Kobe Bryant, another Finals MVP, 36, 7 and 7 in the finals with almost 3 steals a game, over a block a game. Yo, 62% for the field, 73% from 3. No one was stopping this guy. And I gotta take a quick look at his recent games. 2 44-point games back to back to kick off the NBA Finals is crazy. Follow that up by 22 and 33. What's his 3-point shot attempts looking like? He shot an okay amount, 6, 4, 3, and 2. To be shooting 77% is still pretty impressive. I mean, what a finals appearance for Kobe Bryant as he heads into his final season. In 2024 was playing out how the last several years have with this stacked Lakers roster. Kobe and his team were steamrolling past the competition, and the one difference this time would be the in-season tournament. It was the one accolade that Kobe was missing, and he'd only have one opportunity to win it. He'd get to Las Vegas and make it all the way to the finals, where he'd win the first inaugural in-season tournament. And then they'd be in the tournament that actually matters, aka the playoffs, where yet again Kobe and crew were blazing straight out of the West into the NBA Finals for one more chance of a ring. The finals would be against an old team of LeBron's out in Cleveland Cleveland. They had a talented roster as well, but with Evan Mobley missing the series with injury and the Lakers having incredible depth, the outcome in the series would be obvious. Once more, Bryant was hoisting up the Larry O'Brien trophy as he caps off the most insane career we've ever seen, highlighted by unbelievable scoring numbers and a trophy collection.